Gamer Dude 2088, and we're back for another episode of Back to Square One. There's the one. There we go. Alright. And in this episode, in the last episode, we left off talking about the specific stats for the runes and what we're trying to do when we're building our runes for our monsters, because runes are the most important thing in the game. So we're going to do a lot of talking about runes throughout this whole series. Watch this on my screen. Okay, so we left off talking about the main stats for your attackers. Basically, attack percent, crit damage, attack percent build for your main stats, and only crit damage if you're above 60% in my opinion. And I have to keep stressing opinion because there'll be a lot of beef on Summoner's War based on everyone's opinion and what they think, because because a lot of people like to say this person said something was total shit. That's not the right way of doing it. But there's always more than one way to skin a cat. This is just the way I like to skin it. So, but this is your standard Fatal Blade build, and we're trying to shoot for a lot of crit rate, crit damage, and attack percent substats. And the substats are these little stats here, including this one. This one is considered somewhat of a substat. It's like a special substat. I don't know exactly what to call it, but you can tell when you have a special substat because you have a special name for it. Mortal gives you crit rate there. It's like, we got another one here on this one. That one's also immortal. Okay, let's look for somebody else. Shannon, tell me you got something. There we go. Sturdy gives you the flat defense, and I believe durable is like defense percent, something like that. Resistant got resistance, that kind of stuff. So, but those stats can never change when you level up. Those special substats never change. So the numbers you see on there when you get them is going to be the numbers that's going to be on there for the entirety of that room. But the rest of the substats can. Granted, you have like a legend room where you already have the stats on there, and all you got to do is level it up and pray to RNGs is that you get your rates to go up into what you want them to go into. But that doesn't always happen the way you might want it. So moving on, we can see that we don't exactly have all the stats we're looking for here, but basically this is probably the best that I had the time that I put it on this monster. So you kind of do have to work with what you have if you don't have the best things. I was able to get lucky when I got my 5-star set, just for stats to go largely into the crit rate, and then having some speed stats is cool, and random little HP stats. The resistance really don't need, and I would rather that be a HP percent, but you gotta work with what you have. And this is beautiful. This is attack percent. Or rather have some crit rate minus the resistance and the accuracy. Because I don't think Soha skills requires any real accuracy or anything. I mean, you can, but it's just not a necessity. You really want her for the damage and the cleanse on her third skill. So, or rather the stripping ability on her third skill. So, and since she's my main attacker, we just looking to have as much damage as possible, and then the random HP stats, because you do want some kind of HP, some kind of defense, and a little speed on your attackers. Not much. You're not really focused on that because your main focus is your attack stat, your crit rate stat, your crit damage stat. This is your main focus on your attackers. Now, if your attackers have skills that could possibly give an attack break or defense break, a glancing or something that could be a little beneficial, then you want to shoot for a little more accuracy. Surprisingly, I have a lot of resistance, but that's just from just having poor substats on this monster. You really don't care too much for resistance on Soha, or rather just on your attacker monsters. Not at this point in the game. Resistance is pretty much a useless stat throughout your early game. So remember that until you get into mid and later game where resistance is a little more important, just a little bit. But move into, let's say, my Shannon. Since she's on the despair build, we want her to stun. We also want her to have some form of accuracy. Now our accuracy is based on this based on the mechanics and what they say for accuracy for PvE content. You 46, I believe it was 45 or 46% accuracy is like all you would need throughout all PvE content. So anything you facing the computer on, 46 is best. I mean, you still shoot higher. You still shoot higher if possible. If possible, able to get higher, shoot higher. So she's at that threshold, which is a good thing. So she should be landing most of her debuffs relatively accurately. And this is what we want and a monster like Shannon, where she has debuff, she has glancing on the first skill and an AoE slow on the second skill. So you kind of want substats that has accuracy on it. Like none of these have accuracy. She could use a little more accuracy on these substats. Like this, you don't need any attack. This attack percent. This is beautiful attack percent, but it's not a necessity because she's not an attacker. You don't really care about how much damage she does. You want her to effectively utilize her debuffs and her buff as much as possible. So this could be switched. And the resistance, once again, is not important throughout this early game process. I mean, for this being a 5-star rune, I would keep it because this rune could possibly be getting used towards the later progress in this account. So this resistance is not too bad to have. But if it was a 4-star or 3-star, like this resistance would be pointless to have here. Pointless to have. And we see we do have some accuracy. It's cool to have resistance here because this stat will never change, but it's good to have a special substatic rune, so that's cool there. Then we have HP, which is important in defense. And when it comes to your supporters, your main things you're focusing on is generally your HP, your defense, accuracy, and resistance, and possibly in that order. Maybe, I don't know. Accuracy might be higher on there. Resistance usually on the lowest of the totem pole because it's a useless stat until raids. That's when you really need resistance, and that's more of a late mid game, or rather just late to end game content. But that's the only time when resistance is really important. Other than that, resistance is going to be useless to you for a really long time. So you're really shooting to have HP, accuracy, defense, and speed. And speed is important. This crit damage can be speed, and this rune would be beautiful. Will be a beautiful rune. Same goes here. We got this defense percent. We have a flat HP, but not really much HP there. Or rather, this would be a HP percent, but we do have speed and we do have accuracy. Once again, the attack we don't need. That could be the flat HP could stay, and this could be HP percent here, which will do her a lot better. That's if we had that in this room. And this is kind of what you're shooting for and stuff, substats. So when you're farming, you kind of want to, when you're farming for those runes, you kind of want to look at these, like what monster could use what, and does it have any of the substats you need. So when you're in the dungeons and you see those blues drop, you really want to keep only the blues that have at least 2 substats you can use. So you get blue, you already got 2 substats on it. So if one of those substats you can't use for on your monster, sell it. Sell it because you can use that mana to level up a better rune. And we're gonna talk deeply into what runes to keep and what runes to sell later on. But this is a short rundown, and we're going to continue with this rundown on your stats, and substats and things that you need for your units. So we're going to end this video here, and this is the Gamer Dude signing out. See you in the next part of this room build portion of Back to Square One, and I'm out. Deuces.